What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to create a counter that can either increment, decrement, or potentially roll over using a ECUMaster PDM or ADU. The options are the same for both because of their native layout with the Light Client software and how their software works. Today I'm going to show you, I have a keypad here that I have buttons 2 and 3 for my incrementing and decrementing functions. So like if you wanted to do something with boost control or some type of counter based on user conditions is what I would call it. Some type of status change. So you want to count every time the status changes and increment it every time the status changes, or decrement it every time the status changes in a different way. You can do so because their software is very flexible. I'll go into the situation of how we start with the incrementing counter, and then we'll go into the decrementing counter and how we created the whole function. So what did I want my incrementing function to be? Well, I wanted it to be every time I pressed button number 3 on my keypad. So every time I hit 3, I wanted it to increment. And if I hit 2, I wanted it to decrement, as you can see over on the right-hand side of the screen, where my face is for the most part. So what I had is I have it set up to where our key change, a change state, the threshold's 1 because I have it set up on a 0 or 1 scale, and the time on needs to be 0 seconds. Okay. And then I also make sure that the key state is rising, so I set that it's equal to 1. So that's how you get when your user condition starts, that's how you can instantiate the incrementing function. The same thing goes for the decrementing function, so I'm using change state for key number 2, and then making sure key 2 equals 1. From there, we have our counter that we'll need. So we use recursive functions or a recursive function set in this. And what I mean by that is it looks back at itself to determine the state. In the counter, it's a number. So our value is a countered clamped, which is also a number. You'll have to set those up in order to get one to reference the other. And then plus the incrementing function, it's times 1, but it doesn't matter because we're using a 0 or 1 value. And then plus the decrementing counter, which is a function times -1, which brings us down. And then we have our counter clamped, which is where we clamp our values between 0 and 8. So we're taking the counter and saying, hey, we want the counter numbers to equal between 0 and 8 no matter what. And then we get a number that references between, you guessed it, 0 and 8. If you want it to state between 1 and 9, you can add yet another number and just take the counter clamped value plus 1. So you can get a number of 1 through 9. Me, I'm a programmer. I don't need it to start at 1. Index to start at 0 for us if you're in the programming world. So knowing 0 through 8 is completely fine. And you can also set it up to where if you want to roll over and you just have an incrementing value, you would use a modulus instead of a clamped value. So this counter clamped would be channel or constant modulus whatever number you want it to be. So modulus 8, you would go 0 through 7, and then when it hits 8, it goes back to 0. Things like that. That's about it. So if we hit button number 2 and we're already at 0, we're not going to go down any further. If I start hitting 3, we are right about here. We're incrementing. We go all the way up to 8. We go back. We're going back down to 0. Hopefully this helps somebody. It's a lot to understand, a lot to comprehend with the ECUMaster PMUs and ADUs for doing advanced functions, but this is one of the advanced functions that you can do, which shows the high profile flexibility it has. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm interested in your thoughts. Let me know what you want to see more of, and we'll see you in the next one.